Welcome to another NIMS instructional video. This video is going to deal with adjustments. Adjustments are pretty generic and very flexible in NIMS. So this video is probably going to be divided into a part A and a part B. The first part we're going to deal with the setting up the adjustments and the adjustment types. Okay. So to start off with, if we go to system parameters, under system parameters, we see that we have the adjustment types. Okay. So these adjustment types, these are examples, work on your nursery's terminology. So although the package does come with some generic naming of adjustment types, these can be changed to suit you and to suit your own nursery's terminology. So essentially you can go in and create all your own different types of adjustments and name them as you want. In addition to that, you must remember that the names are really only what you see. Behind the scenes, everything is driven by keys in a typical database structure. So these can actually be renamed if you make a spelling mistake after the fact. But what is important to remember is never to delete one of these after it's been used. The system should warn you and say you cannot delete it. Because you must remember, as time progresses and as you use these are used in historic reports to give you your adjustment reports. So once you've used it, you can't really go and delete it. But you could, for instance, go and rename it and say grading no longer used. Let's say you discontinue that specific adjustment. Okay. Alternatively, if it's just a progression that you used to call it adjustment grading and now you call it something else, you could just rename it, and your new reports and your older reports would just use a new nomenclature, as it were. Okay. What I'd also like to spend some time on is this little box here, which simply says in out. Okay, you have two different types of adjustments. Most adjustments are simply a removal of plants. Okay, so you lose plants through either disease or sunburn, or you discard them at the end of the day, or through non-rooting. In fact, that's quite a bad example. That should be a non-rooting nomenclature there. So most of your adjustments are out. Okay, but there are certain adjustments which require an in-out type of movement. Okay. Now, two of these in this example are redistribution and packing. Sometimes, as your plants grow, you need to change the distribution within your tray. Okay. So let's say you have a tray with 96 cells. You might decrease that to 48 cells at a stage, or even another distribution quantity. What I think you should notice, what needs to be noted as well, is that you'll notice I'm not talking in percentage. Okay. In the beginning of NIMS, we did use percentages, so that we talked about a 50% distribution or 75% distribution. But what we found was that on the floor there was this constant conversion from percentages to number of seedlings in trays. So we've moved away from percentages, and we're now talking about density in terms of number of seedlings in a tray. So if we're talking about a 96 cell tray, we will talk about a density of 48 or a density of 32. So in this case now, you'll notice that NIMS works on a numeric density, which is the number of cells occupied, which are actually planted in a specific tray type. So this redistribution essentially is a in and an out movement. So we have a tray of 96 planted at a 96 distribution, and these plants are growing, so we remove these trays of 96 and we now have 96 type trays but with 48 plants. So we're using 48 cells, so there's this in out, so we remove the trays of the 96 and bring in the trays of the 96 48. Okay, so another example would be when you pack, you might increase the distribution, or the density at least, and you might increase from 48 to whatever, okay, to 96 or whatever it is. So there are two examples of when we use in and out. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, you can create the adjustment types which suit your nursery using the terminology which you are used to. There are two classes of adjustments included. One is an out, simply losing plants, and the other is an in out to cater for things such as packing, redistribution. And some people call grading redistribution, because as they grade, they change the density of the tray, which later on in the second video we're going to see how to actually deal. We actually have two different adjustments, but they happen at the same time. Okay, I think that ends the video on setting up the adjustment types. The next video will deal more with actually how we capture and enter the adjustment types.